Again, I am Ellie Braxton. I'm the President and CEO of the Coppell Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to our Candidates Forum tonight, and we are really excited about letting y'all get to hear from our City Council candidates and our school board candidates. First, I want to thank our sponsor, who is Championship Martial Arts, and I believe Jennifer is here.
Thank you, Ellie, and thank you everyone for attending. I know I'm very happy to have this opportunity to learn more about the candidates so we can make a wise and informed decision. As Ellie said, my name is Jennifer Lance. I'm the program director as well as an instructor and a student at Championship Martial Arts Coppell Taekwondo. We have 3 locations in the DFW area. We serve local families by integrating self-defense skills and life skills to help build champions in life in our communities. We also teach discipline and respect through goal setting and our leadership program. We've been here in the Coppell community for almost 14 years teaching martial arts, starting at age 4, going all the way up to life experience, as some of us are, so it's never too late to start. We have helped hundreds of kids and adults in Coppell find confidence to be their best self, and we are so happy and honored to be a sponsor for today.
Thank you. And before we move on to the meat of our program, I do want to recognize our mayor, Mayor Wes Mays. Thank you so much. And several city council members here. I see Jim Walker and Don Carroll and Kevin Nichols. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. I have to apologize. There's light behind y'all, so I see shadows.
Literally right.
I know, but I see shadows. Like, I wasn't sure if that was Don Carroll or Jim Carnell. Within the shadow, they look the same. And speaking of Jeff Barnell, he's one of our former chairman of the board, as well as Kevin Mills and Leroy Wilkerson. Oh, I see City Councilman John June is here too, and former Councilman Cliff Long. Yeah. So thank all of you guys for coming, and we have some school board members here. I see Manish, and of course Nichole Bentley is here. Anyway, so with that, I'm going to go back to Leroy, because Leroy's going to take this event from here. One thing I do want to point out before he gets started is all of you have a index card in the seat of your chair. And we ask that if you have questions for our candidates, they're not, I was told you put them on the seat of the chairs.
Just put them in the front, and everybody move to the back.
Okay. If you would like a card where you could ask questions, they are here. We'll try to get them distributed before the forum's over. Anyway, write your questions down. We're not going to be taking questions from the floor, but if you have a question, just write it down, and we will give it to Leroy, and he will ask the questions. But right now, I'm going to introduce Leroy Wilkerson. He is our former chairman of the board. He's also owner of Wilkerson Insurance Agency and an MC extraordinaire, and he's going to be leading our forum tonight. So, Leroy, come on up.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Awesome. Well, so am I, and I am excited to be here, and it is a pleasure to continue to serve in the community and to help the chamber out when they need it. I thought when I rolled off the board, this kind of stuff was over with, you know, and Ellie called me and said, hey, I was like, man, I should have blocked those calls. We got it on there, we used to say, block those calls. But it was a pleasure to serve on the chamber for 7 years, just 1 year shy of Jeff Barnell's 8-year record. And I'm glad he holds it. You keep it up there, buddy. That's okay. So for the sake of time, we're only going to allow the candidates that are seeking election or re-election to address the audience. Prior to the start of the event, participants drew to see who would speak first. Is that correct? Y'all did it? Well, you should have. Can you tell me they were going to draw?
Did I?
Somebody told me. All right, so, let's flip a coin, except I don't have one. Nobody carries a coin. You got a coin?
I have a question.
Nobody has a coin. Joe Shirley, you probably got a quarter. You got a quarter in your pocket? I know, nobody does. Look at that.
All right.
Awesome. Awesome. So we'll, call it. Ed, you wanna go first, Ed? Ed it is.
All right.
Ed it is. Ed it is. And I got a quarter. Thank you. Moving on up in life. There you go. All right. Each candidate has 3 minutes for opening statement, and then they'll have 2 minutes to answer their questions, and it's about 9 questions on here. At the end, they'll have 3 minutes for their closing statement also. So we'll start with the candidate that drew first. And you can start with your 3-minute opening statement. Layla is the timekeeper. She's going to use that yellow card when you have 1 minute left. And when she bring up that red card, you don't have to like shut up right then, but just kind of finish that statement. Is that right? Did I kind of get that right? So, and I'm not going to get involved in that part. Layla. So she's going to be the official time. Miss.
Stand here is okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
There's a switch on that right now.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for hosting this. Thank you, Leroy, for emceeing. I see that you got paid big dollars. Hello, everyone. I'm Ramesh Premkumar. It's a long name. Just call me Ramesh. I am running for Coppell City Council Place 5. I've been a resident of Coppell for 16 plus years. I volunteered for 14 of those 16 years. Coppell has been wonderful for my family. I think family is important for all of us. And, my kids had an amazing time growing up. They both went to the public schools, kindergarten to graduation. And the life that they had in Coppell and the education they had with the public schools made sure that they are now on their way to be successful adults that will hopefully come back and live in Coppell one day. I've worked in corporate America for 21 years, and about 8 years ago, I decided to start a technology company that is Coppell based. My employees live and work in Coppell, so I'm completely invested in Coppell's success. My financial knowledge comes from the fact that I run a successful technology company for the past 8 years. As the founder CEO, I've had to make payroll, I had to set budget, and make sure that we prioritize expenses to be within the budget. I feel that training is really going to help me in the future position I'm running for. So you all might want to know what I'm running for. I call it my 3-platform pillar. The first one is to preserve the small town feel we have in Coppell. My second pillar, fully fund our police and fire department, maintain our parks and roads. And my third pillar is to help local businesses succeed. If they are able to bring in more sales tax revenue, it's possible that it could reduce the property tax burden that all of us are suffering from. With that, thank you for the time, and I'll come back and talk to you in my closing comments. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just want to acknowledge my wife, Dr. Bennett. I would not be here without her support. So again, my name is Freddie Guerra, and the reason I'm running for city council is I have a passion for the betterment of communities. All Also, I want to be able to influence the future of our city, and I'll explain what that means hopefully through this Q&A. But, you know, I have over 30, 40 years of experience just focused on the municipal sector. So utility cities throughout North America, basically what I do for a living is I help establish a vision where they want to be 2, 5, 10 years from now. Help establish that planning, the master planning, what direction do we want to go in to meet those goals. Then more importantly, how are we going to invest the capital funds, whether it's new assets or refurbishing existing assets, or getting the most of those assets, or the life of those assets. But the other thing too is I work a lot of major cities throughout North America, more importantly here in North Texas. There's not one city I've not worked with. And why that's important is because again, I understand municipal government, but also understand what's going external which is important. So I help build relationships, groups, stakeholder buy-in. Because again, you may be building a new roadway, a new pipeline, pump station. So again, I have the experience to help the city operate more efficiently, but also go in the right direction. And then from a nonprofit standpoint, I've helped keep Dallas beautiful, keep Arlington beautiful with different programs. And what's unique is I've never lived in Dallas or in Arlington, but my relationship with the mayors, they appointed me to those boards. And not only do I serve on those boards, but also I've done action. Again, when I do something, it's 110%. Ask my wife that. But, so like for the city of Dallas, to keep Dallas beautiful, I established a private neighborhood program. Brought in some private investors, federal funding, to again help impoverished neighborhoods that didn't have neighborhood associations, didn't have a communication line directly to the city manager. But then for Keep Arlington Beautiful, help adopt stock programs. So again, have the experience to inspire and empower communities. And then lastly, obviously I sit on different commissions. So for the city of Coppell, currently serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Prior to that, I lived in the town of Flower Mound, served on that Planning and Zoning Commission, the Environmental Conservation Commission. The same thing again, I serve to make a difference. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. We have like 5 or 6 questions here. I said 9, but I was kind of embellishing that. So here we go, man. So we'll start with Ramesh. And the first question is, what are the 1 or 2 most important actions you would take if elected, and how would you advance them and pay for them?
Thank you, Leroy. As all of you know, in the city council, it takes a majority to pass a decision, so at least 4 out of 7. So if I'm elected to this position, I will be working closely with other city council members. My priorities would be public safety. I think the number 1 responsibility of anyone in the city council is to make sure that our citizens are safe. So public safety would be my biggest push. And as city council, we should be looking for the future and helping find opportunities to bring in more sales tax revenue. So I would also work with the city council to make sure that we are creating an environment where industries would want to move in and want to live here. And finally, quality of life is really important to all of our citizens. Working with the city council, my priority would be to make sure that the citizens have the quality of life they have today and hopefully make it better. Thank you.
You have the same question. Would you like me to repeat?
No, thank you.
Okay.
So, one thing I failed to mention earlier was my platform. So the things I would focus on is obviously the vacant storefronts. You drive down North Tap, north, south, a lot of vacant storefronts. We're about 15-16%. National average is about 22%. So again, we're keep increasing the vacant storefronts. So that would be one of the priorities is again understanding why it's happening and then addressing that would be one of my priorities. The other thing that is important for me also is strategic code enforcement. As you currently know, the city only has 1 inspector.
Fred.
Oh, sorry.
Spring you mind.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Everybody. Thanks.
So the next priority is strategic code enforcement. So as you know, a lot of the homes were built like prior to 1990. So our housing stock is aging. So how do we identify that and mitigate that? So, you know, going back to the code enforcement, as we all know, you can drive through any neighborhood, you'll see a few homes that are in disrepair, grass not cut. But really understanding why that's happening, not citing them, but then, you know, offering different programs or incentives through the city. I think the other thing I want to focus on, I shouldn't say think, but I do know, you know, the city invested almost $7 million in smart metering or advanced metering infrastructure. And, you know, it's quite a bit of money, big investment. And that's one of the responsibilities I have as I travel throughout North America. I currently work with the city of Toronto, which is the 4th largest city in North America. They're investing in smart metering. And their question is, what else can we do with it? Obviously, it's improving meter reading and billing, but it's about knowing what's going on, what may happen if something does happen, what do you do? So it's really about smart city planning, smart utilities. So those are the 3 things I would focus on, which would be my priorities.
Thank you. The next question. Does Coppell deliver services in the most effective manner? Please be specific about improvements you would advocate. Should you, Ramesh? Yes.
So, having been to all the city council meetings for the last 2 years, I can say with confidence that the city is doing a wonderful job of delivering the services efficiently. We have an amazing staff that's always looking for ways to improve. The city council members are out and about, attending all of the public events. They're constantly listening to citizen feedback. And we have this wonderful thing of boards and commission where citizen volunteers step up to advise the city council. So with all of these in place, we, I think, have a wonderful system where we're making sure that these services are being delivered very efficiently. And the last point I would make is the Vision 2030, then followed by Vision 2040 is another wonderful idea that the city implemented. So we are constantly in a loop where citizens are giving input back to the city council. City council is passing on that input to city staff, and the city staff, I think, are doing a great job. So I think we live in a wonderful city. If elected, I would continue to support that. Thank you, Levon.
So from my perspective, obviously we always need to challenge ourselves to do better. We think how we can invest money, our employees can be empowered with new tools. And just a quick example, so the city sent this out 2 days ago. And again, it's not only about being efficient but effective. So the great program, the same thing again, we want to be able to increase or expand our economy. So same thing, great program to rehab your homes, but also is there something attached to stimulate the economy here? So for example, you know, is there a list of local contractors that are able to do this work? So again, local contractors fixing our homes here. So again, it's not only about being efficient, but more effective. Another example, you know, I don't attend all of the council meetings, but I do understand the budgeting process. And we're looking to do an EV charging station feasibility study, which is great. Again, maybe another form of revenue for the city, but again, there's other ways to do it. You usually do a request for information. Have vendors come in at no charge, figure out whether it's feasible to do it, and let them come up with a business model versus us paying for something like that. So again, it's not only about being efficient, but effective.
Awesome. Freddie, I'm gonna give you the next question. While you're standing.
Oh,
Just stay there. That's all right. And I'm gonna make a suggestion to you, if you would, just bring your mic up a little higher, because I want the people in the back to be able to hear you as well as they can hear Ramesh.
Okay.
Is that fair?
No.
All right, thank you. Please discuss your position on the use of incentives when attracting businesses to Coppell.
So for me, you know, obviously there's different incentives that the city could use. Again, serving on the planning and zoning commission, there's incentives there, but for me, it's not about abating taxes, because again, we want industries that come in, businesses that come in, that also pay for the infrastructure. It's not just about incentives and giving something away free. A lot of people want to do business here and build businesses here. But again, we need to take advantage of that and not access or some type of, the planning and zoning, looking at different, guidelines, maybe setbacks, maybe, different. But again, for me, it's not about abating taxes, but it's about having them come in and share the expense of infrastructure and other expenses. That way we don't burden our taxpayers with those costs.
So we are very lucky that we live in a city that's already a destination for many industries. We have a wonderful economy, we have a great public school system, we have a highly educated labor force, and we are centrally located. So those are reasons why industries want to come here. Going back to the question, should we give incentives? As a small business owner, having served on the Chamber of Commerce board, my opinion is we have to do a cost-benefit analysis when any company wants to move here. Industries of commerce contribute more than 50% of the revenue that the city uses to function. So small businesses and large businesses are something that we need. They not only support the city, they support our public school system as well. So when a company wants to move here, I would work with the city council to make sure that we do a detailed cost-benefit analysis and make sure that the cost of the incentives that we give is less than the value that we get back. I would also, working with the city council, look at the culture of the company and make sure that it's a good fit for our city. I would want to make sure that the company that wants to move in is able to buy and sell services with Coppell-based businesses. I would love to know if they would hire Coppell residents. I would love to know if their corporate outreach involves giving back to the city, if it involves helping our school system. So if all those things are true, I think we should welcome companies coming here. Let's not forget, we have the 3.24, the origination was a sales tax issue where we stand to lose $17 million a year. So we need other companies to come in if the warehouses go on. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see if this will work. Can you hear me in the back? Awesome. Don't move, Mike. Stay right there. The next question is for you, Mr. Freddie. Where does the development or redevelopment emphasis need to be in your community, residential or commercial, and how has Coppell performed in this area?
I think, historically we performed well. Again, larger lots, single family residence, something we wanted. But as we start looking toward the future, when you start seeing people are migrating into the DFW area, by the way, it's going to be the largest metro area in 2100. It's just fathom the number of people coming in. So again, the largest population that's coming into North Texas right now are millennials. And again, you look at the average cost of the housing in Coppell, almost $600,000 plus. We can't bring people like that into the city. And going back to the school district the same way, declining enrollment, birth rates are down. Obviously, we need younger people to come into the city. So there are areas within the city, I think, that we can focus on mid-level, not high-rise, mixed-use development. But obviously, a lot of opportunity with the Cypress Waters development. With the Dart Realm Silver Line coming in, you see Carrollton, Addison, Dallas investing millions of dollars, having partnerships with private corporations to bring in these transit-oriented developments. So the same thing is the younger generation are looking for things like that. Being able to walk somewhere 5-10 minutes, groceries, dry cleaners, whatever. But the opportunity is there at Cypress Waters. And then also, there's a lot of infill, brownfield development that's occurring within our neighborhoods. Smaller homes, basically being scraped for larger homes. So we need to be mindful of that too. You know, do we really want that happening in these neighborhoods? And again, the city's coming up with programs to help the aging housing stock to help mitigate that issue.
Thank you.
Same question.
Yes, thank you. So if we talk about focusing on commercial versus residential development versus redevelopment, I would say that in the short term, it's definitely commercial. As all of you know, Coppell is completely built out from a residential standpoint. I believe there are less than 15 vacant lots. So in the short term, commercial is the key because, like I mentioned before, Rule 3.334 with the origination versus destination taxing, it's possible that our warehouses will move out of Coppell, and we need to find alternatives to that. And thankfully, our city staff has been on top of this. They've been talking to the city council. This is a topic that is constantly discussed in the city council. So our leaders are focused on that. And in addition, I serve on the Smart City Board, and that board is discussing ideas for how we could replace warehouses if they choose to leave. And I believe there are other boards and commissions that are looking into that issue as well. So in the short term, I would say definitely the city focus needs to be on developing and redeveloping our commercial front. In the long run, we do have the issue that I believe my friend Freddie mentioned. Young families are not able to afford homes here, and that is impacting elementary school enrollment. And I understand that some of the students come back in the middle school and high school level, but for us to have a fantastic public school system, it would be nice to have young families that are able to move in here. Now that is a complex problem. I will not tell you that I have a solution for that today, but in the long term we do need to think about that, and we may have to copy ideas from cities like Boston or San Francisco. Thank you.
This next question is going to be for you, Ramesh, first. Tell us what a family community for a lifetime means to you.
Oh, that's a great question. So, like I mentioned in my introductory speech, my family has had a wonderful time living here in Coppell. To me, when I hear and family for a lifetime, I think what we have in Coppell is a great example of that. We have the high school kids going over to the senior center and challenging them to, I forget the name of the game, I think it's called cornhole. So this is intergenerational connections that are being made in the city. We have the sunset socials where neighbors are coming out and getting to know each other. We have the National Night Out, which won second in the nation. So neighbors are coming out and wanting to know their neighbors. So the whole city is functioning as a family. I understand that about 16 years ago when I first moved here, there was this concern that as soon as a family had the high schoolers leave, when they became empty nesters, they were moving out of Coppell. And the study that the staff has done, that they presented to the city council, starting last 7 or 8 years, seniors are deciding to stay in Coppell. I think that's a wonderful thing. So they are seeing value in staying here. So I believe wanting to live in Coppell a lifetime, to me, that's what it means.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Freddie, same question.
Thank you. So, when I think about, family for a lifetime community, it's really, I keep looking at the school district here, but, it's allowing our kids, first of all, go from kindergarten to 12th grade, having that ability to do that. Then the other thing, we're looking at different generations. It's not just about me or my wife, it's about future generations. Again, our kids, they want to come back. Are there opportunities? Are there jobs here? Can they live here? So really, when we start looking at that definition, it's having the ability, for, no matter what generation you're in, that facilities are able to serve your needs. The issues that you have are addressed by the city. So again, whether you're young, older, or senior, the city should be able, and the community itself should be able to support those needs and challenges. So again, it's not just about today, but again, it's about our kids, their kids, and having the ability to live and thrive within our community.
Thank you. The next question, and that goes to you, Mr. Freddie. It is, what is your view on the relationship between the Chamber of Commerce and the city? And how could you leverage the relationship between the two to grow our business community?
So, great question. And hopefully you don't take this the wrong way, but for me, and I go and visit other cities, again, throughout North America, overseas, and they all have some sort of Chamber of Commerce. The thing is, the Chamber of Commerce is actually evolving. When you think about it, when my wife started her business 22 years ago here, it was about networking. We went to the Chamber, became members, going to events like this, getting to know people, acquiring new customers and clients. Well, now, businesses, online marketing, this and that, they can do that themselves. So really, the mission has changed. It's like, I want to be trained on how to manage my business, what tools are there to help me gain capital, and really, again, how do I run my business more efficiently? So I think that's one of the key points is as the chamber and the city work together, it's about evolving what the chamber can do. I think the other thing too, when you look at the city and the chamber relationship, even though it's a nonprofit, as I mentioned, these vacant storefronts. You have a lot of strip centers here that have vacant storefronts. It's just engaging, communicating with the property owner, again, understanding why that's happening, but also, involving the chamber, educating them. You may want to consider this business coming in because of this reason. Because, again, when you look at some of these strip centers, what you're trying to do is have business in the morning, business in the afternoon, and business in the evening. You gotta have that right mix. So again, through the chamber, through the city, coming up with programs like that, I think would enhance that relationship.
Thank you. Ramesh?
Having served on the Coppell Chamber of Commerce board for the past 5-6 years, I got a ringside view of how well the chamber and the city and the school district work well together. Our CEO, Ellie, has mentioned this multiple times. She has worked in several different chambers for a period of 29 years. And she has constantly reminded us that she has never seen a Pleasantville like Coppell. We have a wonderful working relationship between the city and the business. During COVID, you all know that the city staff, city council, and the residents went out of the way to make sure that our local businesses survive. And the city council made pretty good use of the ARPA funds to make sure that businesses that got impacted got some kind of monetary and other kinds of support. Another area where it's really important to understand is the advocacy piece. We are constantly getting unfunded mandates from Austin, and the city council, city staff, Chamber of Commerce, and the school district are all working together and presenting a united front to convince folks back in Austin that they need to change their ways. So advocacy is another important piece where the city council and chamber are working together. And when there are other examples, like Discover Coppell is an example where the chamber is helping the city get more visitors, and the city is funding the chamber to do this work. Leadership Coppell is another example where city staff decided it's probably more efficient if the chamber does that. So we live in a wonderful city, and I think we should do more of that. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a question from someone in the audience. We'll start with you, Freddie. In the event that the city wins the lawsuit against the state comptroller, Glenn Hager, over internet-sourced sales tax, also known as SR 3.334, what should the city do with its rainy day funds? as those funds would no longer be required to offset the 3.334.
Great question. I don't know who asked that question, but again, I think with the rainy day fund, there's a lot of deferred maintenance on some of our assets that we have. Again, because we've been operating like we didn't have that money. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I think we can focus on. One of the biggest things, I know we started a program for sidewalks. And you know, just one thing, I love to walk, I love to bike, but again, there are places that are not ADA compliant. The sidewalk is not heaving. So, you know, using some of that funding on some of the priorities that we need now. Again, we have great park and rec facilities. We all want to be able to walk and be mobile. But again, there are challenges to that. So that would be one of the priorities, is taking that funding and addressing the immediate needs now. And there may be some projects too that we deferred from our capital improvement program because we didn't have that funding. So again, looking at that list, moving those up to the very top if they're a priority, that's how the funding will be spent.
Thank you.
As many of you are aware, when this lawsuit was filed by Coppell, the city staff and city council decided to cut our spending to match the worst case scenario, which is losing the $70 million revenue. So the good news is we are already solvent. We are acting as if we don't have the money. Now, in a situation where the city wins the lawsuit, we'll go back to looking at the services that had to be cut to save the $70 million. We'll go back to the list that the city staff and the city council has. There's a ranked list of projects to do. And if we had money, we would look at those projects and see which one of them would go above the funding line. And I would fully expect the city council to reach out to the citizens through Vision 2040 or 2050 to understand what the people want and where they want the money to be spent. So I think that is how we would handle that issue.
Thank you. The next question is for you, Ramesh. It says, please rate the transparency of the decision-making from the city.
I would rate that the transparency is pretty high. We have a system in place where the city staff put together all the material required to discuss an issue. It's available online. We can download that before the city council meeting starts. And there's the working session and regular session of the city council where citizens are welcome to go attend. And you can watch the debates happening in the city council, how those decisions are being made. That is also broadcasted, the video is broadcasted so people can watch it from their home if they want to. So I do believe the transparency is high. The city council members are available for common folks like me to walk up and ask questions and express our opinion. So I think it's pretty good.
Thank you. Freddie, same question, please.
I believe the transparency is good, but again, based on my experience with what I do for a living, as we look at the budgeting for different fiscal years, it could be nice for the city to go out to different places in the community. Because again, we might not have a chance to go to City Hall and listen to the budget. So again, it's just, I think the transparency could be increased just by geographically going to different areas. But more importantly for me, it's about engagement. We know what the city's doing, but again, are all our citizens engaged? You look at the master plans we've done, the visioning, it's only 2,000 to 3,000 people get involved with that. And you look at our population, and we just want to make sure everybody has a voice in what we do in the future, when we do our master planning, when we do our budgeting. But again, the transparency is good, but I think we could do a better job by just going out throughout the city and talking about what the city does well and what we're going to do in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm about out of questions. One of the questions on here, I think you both are going to address in your closing statement, so I won't bother with the redundancy of it. So if you all would take 3 minutes each and give us your closing statement, and then that question is tell everyone why you're running for city council, but I'm sure you had that in there already. And then we'll go with you first, Freddie.
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity to present today. And as I mentioned before, again, the reason I'm running, I have a passion to better communities. And again, why not take advantage of my expertise and the knowledge that I have? I reside here. Other cities pay for my expertise. You get it for free. I'm on council. The other thing too, like I said, anything I do 110%. I just don't serve on a board. I want to make a change on whatever I do. I think the other thing that's important too is as you start looking at the city, we're at a crossroads. Again, a lot of challenges are coming out. And I mentioned before, there's a lot of things happening in North Texas. You look at the airport, it continues to grow. We're going to be the first stop coming out of the airport. So we need to take advantage of that. Growth is 80% of the airport. Airlines, passengers, we need to look at that. The other thing I had mentioned too, again, by 2100, the DFW airport is going to be the largest metro area in North America. You know, obviously we still want to be close in the community, but also how do we grow to the future and take opportunities for that. So, you know, you look at my website, you know, Coppell.com, but it's about being future ready. Really, that's what I want to do for Coppell, is have the ability, whether it's COVID, extreme weather events, the decline in the economy, us having the plan in place to be able to bounce back from that and be resilient. So again, hopefully I will get your support, early voting, and May 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So, having lived in Coppell for 16 years, I have the benefit of looking back at how Coppell was 16 years ago and where it is today. I think that deep inside would be a great asset for me as we in Coppell move towards the future. Like I said, my family and I have been blessed to have lived in Coppell. My heart is in Coppell. This is the place that I want to live for as long as I will. So I want the city to be better. So this is an opportunity for me to step up and serve and do my part in making sure the city is good. My youngest daughter went off to college about 2 years ago. So that's given me and my wife the opportunity to step up and serve. And we live in a wonderful city where someone like me can run for office and give back. So the reason I'm running is to give back and to serve. Volunteering and giving back has been a big part of my life for the last 14 years. I serve on the Smart City Board. For the past 5 years, I've been the chair of the board for 2 years. And Smart City is a board that advises the City Council on how we can use technology to improve the quality of your life. In addition to improving your quality, it can also help deliver extra services at lower cost. So that's the kind of mindset that I'll be bringing to the City Council, where we're looking at delivering better services at a more efficient way. As you all know, Mr. John Jun is running for state level office, so it is an open seat, and I'm running to serve. I really appreciate your vote. Please consider me for City Council Place 5. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to just take this time and thank both of the candidates for your time and the information that you shared with us. I hope that it was helpful to the audience. We're going to take about a 5-minute recess, and then we're going to bring the school board candidates up, and then we'll begin. But we're going to wait maybe about 5 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, guys.
While I'm at the podium, I do want to recognize that another one of our councilmen came in, B.G. Matthews from our city council came in. And I also want to take a moment to recognize our Government Affairs Steering Committee. You know, a lot of people see all the things that we do, all the events and networking forums and programs like that, but they don't recognize that there's a team of people working behind the scenes to protect your interests, to make sure that you have a voice in the city and in the state and in the federal government, and that's our Government Affairs Committee. And they oversee anything that's going on government-wise, and they meet once a month to talk about it and see if there's anything that we need to step up and do. So I want to recognize Jeff Farnell. Jeff. Cliff Long is here. Ricardo. I don't know if he's still here. Ramesh is actually on our government affairs, and I promise you, we did not see the questions.
He's here. He just had to run to the restroom.
Anyway, I also,
He's
and
right there.
Stephanie, she's a new one of our committee members. Oh, yes, and Chris Hudnall. I didn't see you back there. Hi, Chris. And thank you all of everyone to get together. They meet, they write our legislative priorities. They head up meetings down to Austin and again, meet once a month to protect your interests. Oh, of course, Kevin Nichols. He's our so thank you. And before we get started, turn it back over to Leroy, I do want to recognize that we have a couple of folks here tonight that y'all are going to get to meet this fall when we do our fall candidates forum, and that's Cassandra Hernandez. And in June. They're both running for seat 115 because it's come open. So we're going to be doing a candidates forum this fall for our candidates that are running for that seat. So anyway, I'm going to turn it back over to Leroy, and we're going to talk with Nichole.
Awesome. Awesome. So everything is not as it seems. Nichole is sitting up here by herself, but she's not running unopposed. She has an opponent who is out today because she's having a family emergency, and she really wanted to be here. We're sorry that she was not able to join us, but that's can y'all hear me in the back? No? I'll make sure you will this time. Watch this. Can you hear me now? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start singing. So what I was mentioning earlier is that Nichole is not running unopposed. Her candidate or her opponent is out because she has a family emergency out of town that would not allow her to be here with us. So we're going to keep her in our thoughts and just know that in spirit she really wanted to be here actually, but she can't. And Nichole, we're glad to have you here today. You'll hear me say your name a lot because I'm going to say the next question goes to Nichole. The next question goes to Nichole. And the next question goes to Nichole. We'll start with allowing you 3 minutes to talk about and give your opening statement. Miss Layla is sitting in front of you. She has a red sheet and a yellow sheet. Guess what those are for? Your time. So when she flashes yellow, that means you have 1 minute left. And when she flashes red, well, you probably want to kind of wrap it up. I don't know how that's going to work because you don't have nobody up here to work. She'll figure that out in a few minutes. So without further ado, Ms. Nichole Bentley.
Thanks, Leroy. And I will adhere to the 2 minutes, so thanks, Layla, for that. For those of you I don't know, I just wanted to start off by introducing myself and tell you I'm in my 6th year on the Coppell ISD Board of Trustees in place 6, the spot that I'm running for re-election. And in those 6 years, I've been secretary or president 5 of those 6 years, so all the years that I've been eligible to be an officer. We have 4 master trustees sitting on the board right now. And it's an application process where you are competitive across the state. You spend a full year going around the state and seeing different ways that public education is done. And it's a big investment of our time, but it's also created a great network for our school board where we can reach out to other districts and find out some lessons learned, hopefully not repeat some things other districts have done. So I became a master trustee in 2020. I've been a presenter at TexEd and SLI, and those are both annual school board conferences hosted by the Texas Association of School Boards. And I'm currently on the Region 10 Legislative Advisory Council, so I'll actually be going down to Austin this weekend for us to begin planning the Texas Association of School Boards legislative agenda to get ready for the next biennium. Just to tell you a little bit more about me personally, I am passionate about public education. I come from a large family with a lot of administrators and teachers, and I've seen the difference that good public education can make to a person and a family. My grandparents grew up farming in western Nebraska, and one of my grandfathers had the privilege of getting to finish high school, and the other one didn't. And the trajectory that created for them was very different. So I'm passionate about it because I've seen the difference it can make up close. My husband and I have 4 sons that went through Coppell ISD, so we have experienced schools at the elementary, middle, and high school level. Zach and Nichole graduated from New Tech, and Jackson and Brady graduated from CHS, so I'm the only school board member who's had kids at both high schools here in Coppell. And before running, I served CISD for 11 years. I was on dozens of CISD committees. I was involved with the Coppell Gifted Association, the Coppell Education Foundation, choir, band, football, wrestling, booster clubs. It was 4 boys. You can imagine we've done a little bit of everything. And I was in the inaugural I-Lead class for Coppell ISD, and also served on the 2013 and 2016 PACs as the school district was growing. So I did a lot of different things before deciding to run 6 years ago, and my husband and I are local small business owners. I've got an MBA from SMU and a business undergrad from the University of Nebraska.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Nichole. So, the first question goes to Nichole. Please tell everyone the top reason that you're running for CISD School Board.
All right, well, I don't need 2 minutes for that. I think I kind of covered it in my intro, but I'm passionate about solid public education, and my tagline 6 years ago and my tagline now includes all kids. With 4 kids, I had gifted kids, I had on-level kids, I have kids at my house that have learning disabilities, and I just think it's important for every student to get a year of growth for a year of school.
Awesome. Thank you. You probably answered this one also. I'm sitting there going, I don't want to read that. What skills do you have that the district could leverage for success?
That's a good question. One of the things that I knew I was bringing to the table when I ran 6 years ago is a lot of business experience. And while public ed is not business, there are lessons that can be learned from that. So I'm definitely a strategic thinker. I'm a problem solver. My dad would tell you that I'm a calculated risk taker. And given the times that we're in right now with public education, it's a good time to be calculated. It's a good time to decide what to abandon, and it's a good time to decide what to double down on and really invest in. And I'm brave, and if you know me, I'm a little fiery, and all in on the things that I'm passionate about, and I'm really passionate about Coppell ISD.
Thank you. This next question is for Nichole. What is the top issue that Coppell ISD is facing, and how would you address it?
Raise your hand if you are reading the news or the paper. The top issue is the budget. School finance is the #1 issue that we need to figure out in a timely manner. And as one of 7 people on the Board of Trustees, I don't get to decide what all the answers are by myself. We are a body corporate, which is an unusual way to operate. Even if you've been on other boards, it's different being on a city council or school board where you're a 7th of an entity. So I have thoughts about what we should do. I'm not going to get to decide in a vacuum, but I can tell you there's no doubt we cannot continue operating with business as usual. We don't have the money to continue everything exactly the way we've been doing it. So we're going through a process right now. We'll be meeting monthly, and we are looking at what are the things that we can do for this fall. What are the things that we are going to be able to do for the next school year, because it's it's not going to be a quick solution, and we don't want to break anything or have some unintended consequences of providing opportunities for charter schools or not being able to bring something back should the funding formula change. So what I would say is we need to continue going through the process. The board needs to continue being vulnerable and honest and deep thinkers. And we need to encourage the community to realize these are discussions that we need to have. Decisions aren't being made yet, but we need the community's input. We're here to represent the community, and so if people have ideas, we want to hear those as well.
Thank you. Nichole, do you support the current proposed bond? And what, if anything, would you change about the bond?
The bond from last year?
Yes. That's it.
Okay. I did support the bond from last year. What would I change if I could change anything? Haven't thought about it in quite a few months, Leroy, but I probably would have built in some opportunities for us to be a little bit more efficient administratively. Just from an efficiency standpoint, I don't like that we're in multiple buildings, and I think we have capacity in buildings to repurpose some things and use some of what we have more efficiently, but also we have buildings that we could get rid of that don't make us vulnerable to charter schools coming in. So if I only changed one thing, that's probably the thing that I would have changed.
Thank you. You're doing good. This is a tough question here, so I want you to kind of turn that ear on a little stronger. Here we go. If elected, how would you work with the chamber and overall business community to leverage resources for our current and future learners?
It's a good question. And I think some of this we're actually doing well, some of it I think we could be doing better. So the things that are going well is having business partners coming in and partnering with our students or talking to our students about real life experiences, not something ethereal about what an accountant does. And then also the job shadowing program more than quadrupled this year, and the fact that our local business community was willing to step up and make that possible. We already know, students said, oh, I was certain after that day that I want to do this, and we had some students who are like, I don't ever want to spend a day doing that again. So I think all of that has value, and those are things that are working. I do think legislatively, we could all come together more like we did quite a number of years ago and have more of a Coppell day. I feel like the vision for the city, the chamber, and the school district are very similar and very symbiotic, and I feel like that's something we could, legislatively, I feel like we could be leveraging those efforts a little bit better. And I think there's always a big opportunity for us to be using our community members more strategically to engage with our students at all grade levels, not just primarily at the secondary level. So that's something that I feel like we definitely can strengthen.
Thank you. Nichole, what do you think about the state's current school finance plan? And what would you change if you would change anything? All of it.
I think the current finance plan for public education is insufficient. I think it is methodical. It's a methodical way to damage public education, and I think it's been pretty effective. So a couple of things that I would change, and the timing of this is interesting since I mentioned I'm going to Austin to begin working on TASB's legislative agenda. In Coppell we get, just for easy numbers, we get about $6,000 per student if they attend all of the days. And just to catch up with inflation since the last adjustment, we would need more than $1,000 per student. That's just to catch up with inflation. So I feel like the formula, first of all, needs to catch us up. And I would love to see a built-in measure to adjust inflation on an annual basis so that we have a better sense of what we can be expected to be getting. The other thing that I would really love is the budget. We have to pass our budget in August. If there's a legislative session in January, TEA doesn't tell us what the interpretation is before we are required by law to pass the budget. So the fact that we don't really know what's coming and what funding is going to look like every biennium, so every other year, I think is hugely problematic. So, and none of us operate our homes that way or our businesses that way. So I would love to see inflationary measures built in and much more consistency as far as what the formula is going to be, projecting that out a year so that we actually know what we're approving when we have to pass a budget.
Thank you. Nichole, back to you. Please rate the transparency of decision-making on the school board.
Well, I might be biased since I'm currently sitting on the school board. I feel like the transparency is high. We aren't having offline conversations. We're having difficult conversations at workshops. We've intentionally structured workshops to be very conversational and an opportunity to dive deep into topics. And hopefully then we can be making decisions at board meetings. So I feel like the transparency is high. I feel like the district is putting more and more and more information on the website. And sometimes it's hard to find what you want because there's so much information. So overall, I would say it's really high. I'm sure somebody could come up with something that we could do better, but we really, I feel like the board and staff is very intentional to be as deliberate as possible, to be transparent with the community, to engage our community members.
Awesome, thank you. The next question is, what do you feel is a board trustee's main responsibility?
Well, I can tell you legislatively what our main responsibility is. Our responsibilities are to pass a budget and set a tax rate. We've lowered the tax rate each of the 6 years I've been on the board. Even though your property values are going up, we've lowered your tax rate. Our job is to review and hire the superintendent, and our job is to set policy and to have staff implement the operations. Being in the operations is not our responsibility, so we are a governance body.
Thank you. You're answering these questions fast, and I'm running out of them. The next question is, how would you address the projected enrollment decline that Coppell ISD is currently facing?
So if you've been following the news, you know our decline is primarily at the elementary levels, not so much at the secondary levels yet. This year's kindergarten class was 700 kids, our 5th graders were 1,000, our seniors were 1,000. So obviously, we have a numbers problem coming our way, even though it's going to take a time for it to work its way through. One question that we don't have answered yet, we have traditionally received kids back at the secondary level who've been at charters or sometimes at private schools because of the extracurriculars that we can offer as a public school. So whether or not that would continue is a big kind of question mark with this declining enrollment. But at the elementary level, I think, I'm gonna have to go on the record by myself. Again, I'm one of 7 board members, but I think the fiscally responsible thing to do is probably to utilize our buildings better and close one of our elementary schools.
Thank you. The next question, this came from the audience, is kind of part of that one. What recommendation would you have for the existence of a charter school in light of the declining public school enrollment?
So would I be in support of a charter school? Is that kind of the question?
Is that the question? Yeah, Freddie says, what recommendation would you have for the existence of charter schools in light of declining public school enrollment?
Okay. I am absolutely opposed to any more charter schools being in Coppell ISD. So one of the things, if you watched our board workshop last week, if we need or the board decides to shut down an elementary school, I feel really strongly about us figuring out another purpose for that building that gives us some other efficiency. I think one of the worst things we could do is provide an opportunity for an already great, well-maintained facility to be made available to charter schools. And I do think that that's a real risk because we are a community that highly values education. So if you're going to open a new charter school, are you going to go someplace where you don't know what the engagement level might be, or are you going to go someplace where you know people already value education and you can make some great sales and marketing pitch? So should the board decide to go down that road, I would definitely want to figure out a way to repurpose or do something different with a facility should we have to close an elementary school.
Thank you. That concludes my questions.
Okay.
And we're going to give you, does anybody else have a question like this on the sheet they didn't bring up? No? Okay. We'll give you time to share your closing remarks.
Thank you, and again, thanks to the Chamber for hosting this, and thanks for coming out and getting informed about candidates. Obviously, the most important thing is to show up and vote. I think we run a real risk of this being a low turnout local election this time, so early voting starts on my PSA. Early voting starts on Monday and runs for 10 days, and then May 4th is Election Day, so please do get out and cast your vote. But here are my very limited closing remarks. If you don't know me, then you don't know that here's what I bring. I bring a proven track record of serving CISD and serving the whole community. I've demonstrated real leadership on the board, in the community, and in various ways. I've taken the time to earn people's trust and develop relationships. I've advocated really hard for our district, and I have stepped into that role even more. And I have a commitment to all families. I don't care why you're here. I assume it's probably for schools if you have school-age kids, but I'm committed to all families, and I'm committed to CISD serving all the families. And as now that we're empty nesters, I'm also really committed to us having high levels of engagement by our community members who don't have kids enrolled in CISD anymore. So please come out and vote. Thank you for coming out and finding out more about us tonight. And I hope I get your vote. Thank you.
Ellie's going to close us out. And thank you all for having me. Be well.
Thank you guys so much for coming tonight, and thank you to all of the candidates that came. Thank you to Leroy. He is always just if you've been to our Guerra, you came to Guerra, and he does a lot of emceeing for us. It's just awesome. Thank you to the committee again. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you to all of you guys for coming. Thank you to our sponsor, Championship Martial Arts, and again, thank you all for coming. Enjoy your evening.